Foreign direct investment driving development. Sustainable growth through knowledge transfer. Technology as a solution. Innovation as a way forward. Over 70 ministers, 140 countries, over 500 exhibitors, 8,000 square meters of exhibition, 15,000 businessmen and investors. The annual investment meeting, Sustainable Development through FDI-induced innovation and technology transfer.
We're starting the session of a very exciting session of global events, an unparalleled collaboration platform for technology, best practice sharing. Big economic events such as the Dubai, Singapore, Paris, Farnborough air shows, the expos, the world expos like Expo 2020 or the one we just had in China, the Basel World, where 50% of wholesale watch sales happen at Basel World, are immensely important businesses worth hundreds of millions of dollars for the global economy. They're also important catalysts for business creation and at the local and at the national level and at the international level. Beyond business generation, there are opportunities for corporations and governments to choose technology platforms, hence informing business and academia where to focus next. In other words, these events constitute opportunities for development and application of technology and sharing of best practice. This session aims to delineate how such events contribute to technological advancement while enabling the sharing of best practices on the economic, business, and sustainability front. Our panelists will give us their view, but before the panelists, we are incredibly honored to have a wonderful keynote speaker who is inspirational. I have had the privilege of spending some time with him yesterday, and I now want to move to the new Dubai airport. His Excellency Mr. Khalifa Al Safin, Executive Chairman of Dubai Aviation City Corporation, and he will speak for 10 minutes, and it's going to be wonderful to listen to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I think I get the message, 10 minutes only. I'm going to talk to you today about UAE, a leading global event destination. I think you made it that way with a little bit help of what we do here. UAE's expertise in hosting world-class events, including international global organizations, related events such as World Bank, International Monetary Fund, UN, and sector-specific regional and international event, World Economic Forum, Agenda meetings, IRENA, World Future Energy Summit, IDEX, Dubai Air Show, Arab Health, Congress, and Cityscape. A World Travel Award of 2013 named Dubai the world's leading destination, and over 200 international events hosted every year, and that number is increasing. Dubai aimed at doubling number of visitors from 10 million in 2012 to 20 million as per 2020. Of those 20 million future visitors, 3.5 will be business visitors per year, and 70 million will be leisure visitors per year. Dubai and UAE is strategically located geographically in the center of the world. The UAE is uniquely placed to connect east and west. 1/3 of the world's population are within a 4-hour flight, and 2/3 within 8 hours direct flights. And I think Fly Dubai is taking advantage of that. They are very much growing and bringing us a lot of visitors. Connectivity. We are the third most connected air hub. We have 5 international airports. Dubai Airport is globally is the first airport globally with about 71 million passengers in 2014, expected to be 126 million by the year 2020. It's a top-ranked hospitality infrastructure, third-ranked in infrastructure. WEF Global Competitiveness Report in 2014 and 2015, that's what they have said about Dubai. Estimated 12 million international visitors in 2014. MasterCard Global Destination Cities Index, and that is from the MasterCard itself. About 80,000 new hotel rooms, nearly doubling the current stock of about another 80 million. So by the year 2020, we should have about 160,000 rooms. I think it's going to be more than that. This is just what is on the record now, and there is a lot of airport being hotels and furnished apartments being planned now, but it's not really on our record yet. And also, Dubai is the place and the land of the Expo 2020. And this is just a few pictures I show you of the Expo itself, the way it's going to look. And then after that, I'll go on the vicinity of the Expo, which is really the DWC, where it's all happening. This is the central plaza of the Expo. This is one of the gates leading to the Expo from the main road. It is mobility, sustainability, and opportunity. That is the Expo legacy we are looking at. Mobility of people and goods, working together to enhance the physical flow of people and goods through smart, safe, robust system for logistics and transport. I think we are just expanding our metro to go all the way there, which is really a massive work we are doing. We are doing a lot of roads in that area. There is a lot of work done by our transport agency, RTA, in that regard, and they are, believe me, spending a lot of money to make the mobility a fact when the Expo is here. Sustainable access to energy and water, finding solution for better enable access to energy and water, planning for resource scarcity through responsible conservation and effective management of new and existing resources. We are, the Expo is in the neighborhood of Dubai World Central Al Maktoum International Airport, and I think you will see that one in other slides we have here. We are opting for almost zero footprint, carbon footprint in the airport itself. It is quite, a goal we are having. I think if we reach 50 or 60% of that, that will be great. Also, the Expo itself, if you look at all what you've seen earlier, it's all about photovoltaic cells covering the whole roof. We're trying to use the least amount of energy from the grid, and would like to be as close to zero carbon footprint for the future. The Dubai Expo 2020. It is the first World Expo in the MENASA region, unique international exposure, exceptional Expo master plan, and I think you've seen part of that one. We are now working on the engineering side of things, and it's going to be mature very soon. I think part of the project has already been lit to do all the enabling work there. It's a reality, and by God, it's going to happen. DWC, Dubai World Central, is about 140 square kilometers of land where Al Maktoum International Airport is going to happen, and where the Expo is in the neighborhood and part of it. This is the Expo site within Dubai World Central. It's 4.38 square kilometers of exhibition venue of the Dubai Expo. It is located in an area where there is a very good transport networks in terms of roads and in terms of rails. We'll have our metro going there. We'll have an Etihad road rail is going through there. So when it is mature, we will have all of them in that area. There is a lot of plans being done to actually move people to the Expo itself and away from the Expo itself. And hopefully we are learning from others how to make it better. And we are trying to ride on a lot of IT platform to make that one very simple for people. That is work of other people. It's not me, just I have some kind of an insight on it, and I thought I'll just let you know. This is the Dubai World Central. If you look at it, I don't know if you are aware of it, it is like a picture and a frame. The picture is the blue one, which is really the international airport, Al Maktoum International Airport. That one will be 260 million passenger capacity airport. The first phase will be 130 million. While we are talking, we are finalizing the plans. In fact, the first enabling work package is ready to go and already been tendered. And I don't think we'll be ready for the Expo 2020, but I don't think we'll be far behind. And this is another picture of the Expo, of the airport itself and DWC in general, with Expo is at the far, what's it, right corner? Yes. This is our jewel, Al Maktoum International Airport. It will have the capacity, I said earlier, about 260 million passenger. First phase is 130 million passenger. The work is happening now. By the year 2016 or the end of 2016, we are expanding our existing terminal in Jabal Ali from 5 million to 25 million. The work will start probably around May time. So we are very serious in what we do. This is just an internal view of one of these nodes within the international airport. I think Cornelia is prepared to ask me on the air show. It is a biannual air show. It is, and the 2013 one was the first one we actually do in DWC. We have taken the whole show from Dubai International Airport and we build it again with about 40% bigger in size. And there is some information maybe a lot of you don't know. The show was supposed to happen around November 2013. We finished all our work by May 2015. Then the whole site was caught fire and it was brought, to the ground. We had 6 months to make it happen. We made it happen. And what you see there is really the second, air show site or buildings. I'm going to talk to you now about another area which is part of the DWC. It is on the aviation side. It's supporting work, which is really the aviation city. The Dubai Air Show as facility and as a ground is part of the aviation city. We are growing very fast. It is really a high growth area for us. We are building an executive terminal. It should be ready by the end of 2015. We are building a completion center by others, and that will be able to even do work and maintenance even up to A380. And that work should be also finished by I don't know. Let me just continue. We are growing in our logistic too. It is one of the high growth area. We have with us IKEA Group is building first ever one of the biggest distribution center for the region. It will be opening by September 2015. Nestle Middle East is constructing one of the largest food factory. Phase 1 expected by the fourth quarter of 2015. Landmark Group construction of its logistic facility. Aramix expansion of their logistic facility. Phase 2 expected to be operated by the first quarter of 2015. So things are happening very quickly and very near. Danza's distribution center. Excuse me just for a second. Danza's distribution center under construction. Grand Store under construction. Muhabbi Logistics is under construction. Also, our business partner are organizing the regional and global event in Dubai. DHL, for example, holding in 2 weeks, it is Global Technology Conference, which will gather all their customers in here. As part of the service we do, we need a lot of hotels, and we have with us few groups. Ben Haidar Group is building their own. The Holiday Inn and the Stay Bridge is being built by Abjar Hotel, by one of our leading business people here. I don't think that will suffice for the Expo, but a lot being built from now to the Expo time in our region, besides the rest of Dubai. I think maybe a lot of people will have some question about the DWC itself. We are in Hall 6, and you are most welcome to come and visit. And if there is any information you need on the Expo 2020, they are in Hall 7, and actually you can reach them through an email. And I would like to thank you.
Your Excellency, thank you very, very much indeed. It's just amazing, all the things you create, you make happen. Now, let me we will change the order of business slightly, because we have two panelists who will leave, as we say in Europe, in the French way. They will just, when their plane or their appointment comes, just leave from the stage. So it's not anything we said or anything you did. They will just leave because of an appointment. I will ask one question per panelist. They will answer for maximum 4 minutes. And then we'll have a Q&A, and at the end I will have a 5-minute summation of the 5 key points that I've heard here. So you have something to take with you. So let us go without further ado and I will introduce the panelists as we go in the interest of expediency. The first man to leave us will be Professor Bruno Lanvin, Executive Director, European Competitiveness Initiative, IECI, and Global Indices Projects at INSEAD. And and he is somebody who's been very involved with the World Economic Forum. He's with the Competitiveness Index. He's very involved. He's worked for the World Bank, for the UN, so he's a very seasoned professional. He's seen so many countries. So my question to you, Professor Lanvin, is you're one of the premier thought leaders on sort of competitiveness and innovation on the globe. How important do you think that these global events are when it comes to innovation? Who benefits the most? Is it the host nation? Is it business in general? Are these events really a catalyst for collaboration and sharing best practices? This is sort of the theme I would like you in no more than 4 minutes to elaborate on, please.
Thank you, Cornelia. Indeed, what I'm going to say comes directly from my own experience in organizing or co-organizing large international meetings, in particular when I was the executive secretary of the Force for the G8. So we participated in several of the G8 meetings, then the G20 meeting when we launched our innovation index, etc. And it's clear that these global events are becoming milestones. There's a few events that come, not too often, because otherwise you crowd the picture, which can very well become milestone. How, and to answer your question about who benefits most, I would turn it into how can you ensure that you maximize benefits on both sides to make it an event that people will remember. And my own experience in these events is that, and also looking a little bit back at history, is that what you aim at building is not a peak. A peak is relatively easy to build. What you want to build is a change of level. You want that after the event, things should be different from when they were before. That people have learned new ways of doing things, new ways of addressing issues of the time. And if you look, for instance, at Olympic Games, okay, they happen every 4 years. But some Olympic Games have been more memorable than others. If you think of some of the most memorable, people would typically quote Mexico 68. What do people remember about Mexico 68? They remember two things. Bob Beamon jumping 8 meters, 90 centimeters, exploding the world record for long jump. And the second one is the Fosbury flop, a new innovative way of going as high as you can. These have to do with substance. So you expect an event to be remembered if it does something about what it's supposed to do. So clearly, an expo in Dubai would be expected to yield benefits from the world community about what Dubai has been doing better than other parts of the world. And what we just heard about the transport hub, the logistics is remarkable, and there is more. And let me just finish, not going beyond my limit of 4 minutes, by saying that the choice of theme for me is remarkable. That is indeed focusing on mobility, sustainability, opportunity is absolutely key, because these are three angles that reflect not only the reality of today, but how reality will be different after 2020. I would just make a suggestion, and maybe that can be a takeaway, which is to enhance the human dimension of what the expo is about. It's not just about technical mobility. It's not about aviation. It's about transporting people. It's about getting people faster from one point to another and more efficiently and in more secure conditions, etc. So I would suggest to add to these three letters, the M of mobility, the O of opportunity, the S of sustainability, the T for talent. What people will expect to see is talented people showing innovative solutions. And by the way, if you add the T, the acronym becomes MOST, and you can encourage people to make the most of 2020. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was most. I will take this away. I will now always talk about most. This was brilliant. We are now going, because the second person who will leave us at some stage, because of a very important meeting, is His Excellency Ambassador John Danilovic, who is the Secretary General of the International Chamber of Commerce, and he has, he's been a businessman, he's been a financier, he's been an ambassador in important countries such as Brazil. He now is the Secretary General of the ICC, which in itself hosts big events and participates at big events like the G20, shepherding people. So in that sense, he's a good person. He has a long-standing perspective. So I'm asking you, Ambassador Danilovic, from a business perspective, how do these events help collaboration of businesses? Exhibitors on a global scale. How important are they for the sort of quo vadis, for the compass of where businesses move on the technology development front, and do they help to identify best practices?
Thank you, Cornelia. I'd like to start by briefly thanking His Excellency Khalifa bin Zafin on the outstanding presentation. It's an inspirational story and one which shows just how important these global events are. I want to briefly touch on why these events play such a vital role in driving new business and spurring innovation. When we talk about trade shows, the instant reaction sometimes is a sense of confusion as to why, in the age of internet, live face-to-face events even exist. They not only exist, but they persist and they prosper. And that's because people relationships and first-hand impressions matter. Despite the worldwide reach of the internet, a relationship cannot be only electronic. It must be personal. Personal interaction always beats the internet for creating the big picture, for allowing discovery, developing trust, a vital factor when it comes to transferring technology, and also evaluating potential partners in their products. People travel great distances to come to see these mega events, to meet like-minded individuals and to discuss the promise of new products and of innovation. They come to test the mettle of the people with whom they might do business. In essence, to look into their eyes and assess whether a company's product matches its hype. Mega events provide an unparalleled opportunity to do just that. Just think of all the airline miles you would have to rack up and all the business time you'd have to spend to achieve the same level of interaction just to attend a major trade show. Bill Gates once said that Microsoft was made by trade shows. That's not a bad beginning. The lesson is that every large company started as a small company. They needed to attract investors, partners, and customers and establish a reliable cash flow quickly and efficiently. The best place to accomplish all of these vital components for business success is at a trade show. Companies and careers have been made at them, and we should not underestimate their strategic value. Talking of important events, I'd like to touch on one major global event run by the International Chamber of Commerce, and that is by our World Chambers Federation, which is the global umbrella body for local chambers of commerce, and that is their World Chambers Congress. It's held every 2 years in a different region of the world. The Congress is the only international forum for chamber leaders and professionals to share best practices, to enlarge local insights, to develop networks, and address the latest business issues affecting their communities. It's proved to be an essential forum to promote knowledge sharing between chambers from around the world. Driving real innovation is the important services that chambers offer to business, of all shapes and sizes in every corner of the globe, from certificates of origin through new services to help SMEs get a foothold in global markets. The next World Chambers Commerce will be held in Torino, Italy, in June of 2015. We expect to see over 12,000 chambers there and leaders of business and representatives from throughout the world, and we very much hope that some of you will be able to be with us in Torino in June. Thank you, Cornelia.
Thank you very much. And you know, it really resonated with me. Two things resonated with you. I spoke to the CEO of one of the major insurance companies of the world and said, you know, I mean, why are you coming to Davos? You know, why are you doing this? Because it's, you know, it's very expensive. And he said, look, if I come to Davos, I will have so many meetings in the span of 4 days or 3 days that it would take me about 4 to 5 months, and a lot of air miles, and my time is expensive, so this is really a cheap event for me. Or a cost-effective, it's not cheap, it's cost-effective, a cost-effective event. And I just also wanted to mention that with a lot of things that you do, the ICC does, you are really the propagator of best practice in many things. I'm just thinking of international arbitration and things like that. So I'm coming back to you, Your Excellency.
Yes,
because you were, you know, it's just amazing to see how many events the UAE host, how many events Dubai host, how well you do it, how fast you grew the airline, how fast you grew. You are now the major hub. You're more important than Heathrow. And as a humble Briton, that obviously hurts me a little bit, but all the more power to you. But what I wanted to ask you here is, I just wanted to focus on one specific event that I know you were very involved with, which is the impact of the 12th airport show. What was the impact on the development of Dubai, on the development of your plans for the new airport? How have you sort of cross-fertilized?
Okay. We have 2 shows which are very important to us as professionals. You know, we strategize and we build the airport with a lot of our partners. 2 shows are of most importance, and I think you touched on one subject, and that is there is not enough time, you know, in the world for us to know all the technology. If we have to travel, we'll be traveling continuously all the time. And we have 2 shows which are very important, which brings all the technology and the best practice, you know, to us here. One of them is the air show, and the air show profile somehow overlaps with another show, which is the airport show. And there are a lot of technology and a lot are present in these shows we'll take advantage of. We actually have continuous meetings with a lot of exhibitors, and that's what makes it really expensive. Most of the exhibitors who come to both the air show and the airport show are actually customers now. We made it worthwhile for them, and they made it very much worthwhile for us. You know, as you said, Doctor, it is the interaction and the personal interaction. Companies is about people, events is about people, and that goes really a very long way. So we have a lot of friends and we have a lot of business partners just because of these two shows. I would like to add one thing, that the region comes here for this. Now the aviation industry is one of the fastest growing industry in our region. And actually people come here seeking technologies, seeking to deal with companies, and I think that is a result, what you see here is a result of all these shows. So there is a lot of interaction and there is a lot of positive results. There is a lot of trade that happened because of that.
Well, thank you so much. That's actually very powerful, because just when you look at the journey of the UAE, at the journey of Dubai, you know, the first time I came here was 30 years ago. If I hadn't come in between, I wouldn't recognize it anymore. Sure. Now, to you, the next panelist is His Excellency Mr. Alan Winde, who is the Minister for Economic Opportunities of the Western Cape province of South Africa. He is, Western Cape does a lot of conferences, and I said to him earlier when we met, I Googled him and I said, you are the professional mega event opener. So he has a lot of experience, and he will tell us very powerfully what these events mean for his province and for the country. So my question to you, Your Excellency, is, the Western Cape province hosts many, many conferences. To what degree have they helped generate business and fostered international collaboration for domestic business? Has your province benefited from global big conferences in other locations in terms of best practice sharing and technology development?
Thank you. So I think, first of all, it's about not only about conferences and shows, it's about events as well. So we were lucky enough to host the World Cup. That was a big event in our calendar. It also added to the mix. We also host yearly one of the world's biggest timed cycle race. So these are events that take place. But the conferencing and the shows coupled with those events really start to change the ecosystem in which you operate, and especially if they start linking through themes. So I'm going to talk about two conferences that have taken place in our region over many years. The first one being Design in Durban, where the world comes together to talk about design, and how that specific showcase has over 10 years developed a brand for the region. It influences in various ways. One is outward, so we now have Design in Durban coming from Cape Town. It is now in Shanghai as well. So Shanghai have asked, come and set up a Design in Durban in Shanghai. It has also influenced us so that we hosted last year the World Design Capital for the year. The whole world focused on the region as design. And then it influences decision makers, but decision making in your education process, because design starts to become part of your DNA. And so a trade show or a conference then affects the DNA of the region. And so you must also be quite careful in the way you choose them. And so it definitely makes a difference. We now apply design and innovation to our problems based on these conferences. So design now plays a major role in housing, in poverty alleviation. And the second point I'd like to talk about is health conferences. And we host a number of health conferences, and we have for many years. Major world conferences, at least one or two big ones every year. But if you go and have a look at our major conference center and some of the smaller ones around, you will see there's at least one health conference happening per month. And what happens is that also influences the ecosystem. So we also now have, if you look at Africa, we have the most companies in prosthesis manufacture are around our region. And we all pull this from the initial first heart transplant that took place in the world, and how do we feed that theme through the system. So conferencing linked to health is now going into how we deal with TB. And so the conferences then play out in your universities, in your training hospitals, and then linked to innovation. And so there's a whole lot of health manufacture for health products from biochemistry products that get marketed in through Africa, finding solutions for Africa, and that expertise comes to Africa through the conferencing. So I thought perhaps my last point, and linking it to business conferences, there's something that we always think about. It's how a business visitor to a conference then becomes a tourist post that. Post becoming a tourist becomes an investor, and post becoming an investor becomes a philanthropist in your ecosystem. So your conferences are really very, very important in designing and maintaining an ecosystem. And then, because of this conference linked to FDI, you'll see our private healthcare systems are now invested, and you've got Mediclinic coming from South Africa. It now sits, you've got Mediclinics around Europe, in the UK, and here in the UAE.
That is very good, and I love the takeaway of the ecosystem that it helps creating. Our not at all least intervention, but our last intervention comes from Mr. Kai Hammerich, who is president, KA Foreign Investment Corporation in Sweden. He started his journey as a journalist, and he has been a senior businessman. So he has had a lot of experience. He's covered things. He's been an actor. He's been an observer. That's always a good thing. You have a long-standing experience both in private sector and also in government promoting inward investment to Sweden. How do you look at these mega events? Are they helpful only to the countries hosting them, or do they generate opportunities for the wider region and for other countries as well? As we've just seen, what you're doing generates opportunities for the whole of Africa.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for the invitation. The importance of events and conferences have been underlined very skillfully. So let me take it from another point of view. I mean, there are events, there are mega events, and there are super mega events. I mean, the super mega events today, that's, for example, that's World Expos, Olympic Games, and so on and so forth. And fewer countries have today the resources to organize those events. Then we have the other events, mega events or more ordinary events. And what it boils down to when you want to organize those events, then, I mean, it's a question, in the end of the day, it's a question of doing business, it's a question of marketing, and it's a question of attracting attention to whatever country, region, or sector. And what we must be aware of today, that is that in our world of competition, even the competition regarding events is increasing all the time. And that is why it's very important to, when you want to go ahead with these events, to be very well knowing why the message is. Mm-hmm. It's said very often that you don't win the battle in the event. You do it before and you do it afterwards. That is to say that you have to be long-term in order to get something out of it. And I can take as example, I was executive vice president for many years with the automotive and aerospace company Saab-Scania. So for many years I visited the air shows and the automotive shows all over the world. Regarding air shows in particular, of course, at that time it was Farnborough and Le Bourget. Today, when I'm talking to my friends within Saab, when they are organizing things, they say that, okay, they make a thorough preparation in beforehand, knowing, setting up who are going, whom are they to meet, which business meeting do they plan, and so on and so forth. Then, when it comes to then they are there, but then they try to make a form of evaluation afterwards. Where they are very, they have to take notice of all the meetings, which shareholders have they met, what are the results of those meetings, and so on and so forth. And then they try to, you take it for what it is, but it gives an indication. They try to measure what the result was of that event and if it was worthwhile. And now when so many events are coming up and you should be here and you should be there and you should participate there, you have to make a choice. And then the choice must be based on some hard facts. Of course not only hard facts, but to some extent hard facts, which you have to combine with your gut feeling. Because if you don't do all that preparation, and you know, and you have got a long-term plan why you want to do it and what you want to continue to do it, then of course the danger is that these events becomes too much of dining and whining, and that we cannot afford anymore. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed. So I think as we're we're running late because we started late, let's go directly into the Q&A. So you get a chance. The first of our panelists is leaving us, so it's not us, it's his plane. So we are not responsible.
Exactly. I have to apologize again, but after hearing everything I heard from Mr. Al-Zafin about the airport, I want to see it immediately. Thank you very much.
This is brilliant. So we're ready for questions. Who has a question?
Thank you, our moderator and all the panel speakers. I would like to know that from Expo Shanghai, Milan 21.5, Dubai Expo 2020, are we, after this exclusive session that we have today, are we able to make it in a way that what the speaker have mentioned, you know, people's touch and also talents and all the good things that we accumulated. My company, I'm a VP for Maps and Globe. We are media globally. We would like to know that whether Expo 2020 is ready to receive open arm, that the authentic group and the high integrity group able to put the exposure, because it's already the super mega event, more to it, and the keyword is most. How can we actually give the most of ourselves from every single individual? Because we are all brought here to listen to your Expo 2020. So as an organization, I would like to know that what is our target visitors, and what is your target pavilions. So all this, we have a milestone to reach. So this is a question, attention to His Excellency.
Excellent, excellent. And then I think the
thank you.
gentleman back there, let's have his question now. We did 2 questions, so we're very efficient here.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Can you say who you are and
Yes.
identify your organization, please?
Mustafa Shaheen with the Edmonton Economic Development Corporation from Alberta, Canada. Question is about the super mega events and the long-term economic benefits. We have a hydrocarbon-based economy similar to the UAE, which is diversifying within Canada. And when you look at the success of the airport expo shows and the cost of hosting these events, how do you find a long-term economic justification when in the short term maybe these events cost the government or the host cities money to run? And how do you get that commitment to continue to support those events?
That's actually a very good question, and everybody who's ever hosted Olympics is asking themselves that. Yeah. Your Excellency, I think you come first with the Expo question. How do we make sure that all the people really benefit and that it really...
I think when we look at Expo, we are looking at legacy all the time. Whatever we build will stay there and it will be used all the way through. I think all the exhibitions here that's happening at Dubai World Trade Center will eventually move there. And all the pavilions of the countries, or most of them, or whatever we build at least, will be transformed into either universities or other organization for any function that there is. I think legacy to us is very important, and we have the order from our bosses that nothing goes away. Whatever you have there stays there and used efficiently all the way through.
No, very good. And who would like to answer the question on the, because that's a very important one. When you look at countries who host who host Olympic Games, it's very, very expensive to build the stadia, and and a lot of countries have sort of been out of pocket. In the British sense, out of pocket, not enough money left in the tilly after the events. Who would like to take that? I think Minister Winde, you would be probably very well placed to take that question.
I'll do that, absolutely. I think You know, there are huge lessons to be learned with mega events because of the investment, but I think it also, and I know in our case in South Africa with the World Cup, it really did set some really tough deadlines for us with major infrastructure investment, and we are now benefiting long-term from that infrastructure investment. But you've got to be very clever in the way that you invest, because you can actually, I think, lose the plot, put too much money, put your nation into debt for too long. And I perhaps think, if you want to have a takeaway from here, is I think we need to start looking at a platform of learning where people can come together to start to learn these lessons from each other. I know that we had to learn from Germany because they were the host nation prior to us. But it was in a very different circumstance. Running a World Cup in the middle of Europe and running a World Cup in the southern tip of Africa are two very, very different spaces. And so it's hard to learn those lessons. And I think we're now trying to help, and we have been involved in the process with Brazil in learning about the World Cup. But still, again, very different. And I think we need to have more heads in the room, or create a platform where more people can get together to talk about various learnings over time with mega events. So we can actually get to a better grip, because it is about the legacy. You cannot leave a debt. And I think we all have those negative legacies that you've got to try and work through. But we all go proudly showcase the positives, but we need to have that space that we can talk about it.
And Mr. Hammerich, it would be great to hear your view, because you've thought about this very deeply, I know.
No, I think that you have to, of course, it goes without saying, to distinguish between events and events. I mean, the super mega events, like expos, like in particular perhaps Olympic Games, that is a form of marketing for country, long-term marketing for country, which I think it's extremely difficult to calculate the benefits. Whereas when we come to more specialized events, be it, you mentioned it within healthcare, or be it air shows, and so on and so forth, there you can measure the results in quite another way. So it's two different ball games, and one should not use the same measurements for these various types of events.
Ambassador Danilovic, you must have some views on this as well.
Yes, just a passing thought. These events don't have to be money losers. They can be money makers in and of themselves, even in the short term. And I'm sure you all remember the Olympics in Los Angeles, organized by Peter Uberoff. That was a financial success. So there is a model, and there are other models as well, not just that one, but I point out that one because I was there, and it had a tremendous amount of publicity about it at the time because it was economically successful. So there is certainly this factor of long-term economic benefit to the country in terms of infrastructure and ongoing development, but there's also a short, medium-term economic kicker which goes on from the facilities themselves that are developed. I'm sure with regards to the airport, it's not just airport infrastructure, but in fact Dubai infrastructure, which is impacted by what's going to go on at the airport. So all of these things can be coordinated and orchestrated and worked out as a longer planning, which is far more inclusive and can be economically successful.
I think those are very wise words. Now, we've already overrun about 15 minutes, so I think I will sort of do my quick summation and bring it to a close in the interest of all of you getting some lunch, because we are standing between you and your lunch. So first of all, thank you. You've been a marvelous panel, and Your Excellency, thank you for limiting yourself, pushing your speech to so small a time frame. Thank you. Global events, you know, there are milestones, and if you've seen, there are milestones for a region, for a cause, and one tries to not just have them as one-time events, but to have some longevity, have some outcome that can live afterwards. Very important themes here is mobility, sustainability, and talents. It's about people. It's where people meet. And we brought some examples. You know, you save a lot of time if you meet everybody in one room and you can meet them. And very importantly, we have seen on the case of South Africa, in the case of Dubai, they create local but also regional ecosystems. The Dubai Air Show and the airport show is a very good example. It brings technology, business, creates jobs, all of those things. The medical conferences in South Africa. But because they're so vital, one has to choose carefully. You cannot dance at every wedding at the same time. What was very powerful is to try and get people also showcase your region. They come first they come to the exhibition, then they come again as a tourist, then they become an investor, and in the end, inshallah, hopefully they'll be a philanthropist. One of the other things we've talked about is that these super mega events, they need a lot of infrastructure. So one has to make sure one gets it right, and one creates the right sort of legacy. We mentioned Los Angeles. I would like to mention the London Olympics, which have regenerated East London, which was one of the poorest parts in the country next to the City of London, which must be one of the richest parts in the world. So that was a good thing. But in order to do that, one has to sort of have broad learnings taking place, as we've seen between Germany and South Africa, now South Africa and Brazil. So with all of that wisdom that we have benefited from these great panelists, thank you very much. You've been a great audience. Thank you for bearing with us. We've overrun. And let's give our panelists a hand.